All right, so you give up 6 runs all series. That's the fewest runs that the Phillies have scored in a series since the last series of 2025 when they basically weren't playing anyone. So you held them down and you you scored 5. You still couldn't score enough. That's frustrating. It's Friday, a frustrating Friday of Red Sox Now. I'm Mike Antonellis. Kalshi is our sponsor. We love them. We're not frustrated with them. Use code FanArchBaseball to get $10 when you trade 10. I'll have my trade coming up after the second segment. Hit subscribe to the channel. But again, it's the same old, same old. Your offense was not good enough. Schwarber, Homer, I get it, all that. But I wouldn't want to be built just relying on a home run to win games. Like, there has to be a little more. Now, I would take their core. I mean, Turner, Schwarber, and Harper are not having, I think, well, Harper's fine. Turner's struggling. And Marsh has been a huge surprise. But again, like I talked about this last night in our Discord, major league lineups are centered around about 3 or 4 guys now. It's changed. Go back and look at some of those Yankee Red Sox lineups. We bring up like 20 years ago. It's just not how it works now. It just isn't. I mean, I look around the league and I look at teams that are good, and it's just centered around a few. Like looking at the Brewers, now that they got Chourio back, Chourio, Terang, Yelich, they're getting some good production. The Padres are hitting 222 as a team, but they got a few guys. Bogarts is leading them in home runs, but he's hitting 250, 7 home runs, but they got about 2 or 3 guys that are producing. And, I think Philly certainly wants more from their offense, but they get enough. Even in a series like that, they scored 6 runs. But you gave up 6 runs and lost in 3 games because you just couldn't come up with one hit, and you made mistakes that aren't being talked about today. For some, it's interesting when people pick what they talk about. So I'm on social media all morning because I like to get a pulse of what the fans are thinking, because it helps the show. Not one mention of Abreu getting picked off. You cannot get picked off in the big leagues at this point of your career when you're not running. Do you know what I mean? Like, Abreu's not going anywhere and he's just not paying attention. That cannot happen. It can happen. It can't happen in A ball. This cannot happen. And then the next guy doubles, of course. You had a contact. Well, you didn't have a contact play on, and I don't know if you did, and the runner decided not to run. You could have scored a run. The ball was hitting the hole. They made a diving play. I didn't like bunting with Durbin with kind of Falefa coming up. I don't know. And but again, that's splitting hairs. You went 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position. I didn't think you had any chance anyways in the 9th. And the same old guys gave you good at-bats. Tough spot for Mickey Gasper against Duran pinch hitting, but Yoshida gave you quality at-bat. Well, he was the only one. And then, you had 3 strikeouts. Wasn't surprising. Wasn't surprised Duran struck out on 3 pitches either. Yeah, 1 for 11. I mean, is the offense bad? Yeah. I think it's more frustrating when you pitch like this too. But you do have a lot of opportunities. When you watch these games every night, they have opportunities to win games. I don't know if it'd be better if you just flat out got beat every night. I don't think so. But you literally had, again, you could have made outs last night and scored a run. You had a runner at second and nobody out, I believe, 2 or 3 times, at least twice. And you just can't move runners over. But that's talent. That's skill. And it's also the game now. It's not really a move runners over anymore for some reason. Just the way it is. 7 hits. I mean, you got Abreu's been great. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to group the whole. When I hear like the whole offense, I don't like hearing that because that's factually not true. Abreu's been fine. I mean, he's been more than fine. I feel like Contreras has been productive enough. I feel like Rafaela has been productive enough. Um, Meyer is. I know he's been struggling a little bit, but I still think that I don't put a lot of focus on him. You just have three black holes every night: Duran, Story, and Durbin. Durbin had a double last night, but you can't. Your leadoff hitter cannot be hitting 178. Last 162 games for Story and Duran. Story's at 251, 23 homers, 99 RBIs with 188 strikeouts. Duran's last 162, 233, 18 homers, 84 RBIs, 182 strikeouts, and 22 stolen bases. Just those numbers just aren't going to work. I mean, and they're not. It's not working to have. Um, and I prioritize it with Story, Duran, and then Durbin because Durbin's a second-year player. He brings really good defense. I know last night he made that interesting play when a run scored when he looked at second, but the play he made earlier in the game was unbelievable that they challenged. And the Phillies they're going through it too. They have two or three guys that Bohm is starting to hit a little bit for them. But again, I would trust Turner. I'd take Turner, Schwarber, and Harper over any three in the Red Sox lineup. Any three. Easily. Because you're going to get just enough production. And those guys aren't even really having great starts. Schwarber is with the home runs. Average is low. Whatever. Turner's average is way low. Harper is still good, I mean, considering his age. But they got just enough. 6 runs, and they won that series. And Luzardo was good. I wasn't surprised. Some of you have got to stop looking at stats with opposing pitchers and be like, well, that pitcher stunk. How come they didn't hit him? Well, you're not good either. You can't. It doesn't correlate. You know what I mean? And Luzardo's a good arm. He's now had 5 really good starts and 4 really bad starts. But it doesn't matter what Luzardo did against the Cubs, where he didn't pitch well, or the Rangers, or the Rockies. That doesn't correlate to you. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know if his stuff was like, you can't just take, someone's numbers and say, well, this should be an easy game. It doesn't work. Baseball's not played that way. But it's extremely disappointing. And I really want them to do something. You cannot continue to run out 3 automatic outs every night. And I know that we saw some, the beginning we saw a little bit, but it's just, to me, and we'll get to some things that I like to look at too. Quality at bats. We'll get to that as we go on in the show. But disappointing where you have really pitched great. And listen, you've had pockets where you've not pitched great. That's going to happen. And same with offense. And like there are legit nights where they have struggled offensively where I don't put it on them. You know what I mean? Like when you're facing a certain guy, or just if you watch and you'd be like, this guy was just flat out dominant. And they put together some good at bats late. But I mean, once Duran is Chapman to me. That's pretty damn close. I think he's right there with Chapman. I mean, he is really, really good. But still, I mean, guy had a guy at second base. You got a guy at second base, and Yoshida comes off the bench, has a good at bat for sitting the whole game. But Suarez was fantastic. He had a lot of time off. That's why I think he was at 70. He was capped at 80 because he hadn't pitched in a while. And I know that's going to bother people. I get it. But he had 11 days off. It's just kind of, he's older. They're still managing him. Listen, I don't know. He could have said, listen, I'm done. And he started to, his stuff was a little bit different as he was getting, they were starting to adjust to him. I have no issues with the pitching. And I've seen things this morning about them bringing Whitlock in for the bottom of the order. I mean, it's that to me, you're starting to cherry pick things. It was a scoreless game. That's a total Monday morning quarterback because Samaniego. Nobody at the time, and I was on social media, said they shouldn't bring in Whitlock here. Why not bring in Chapman to face those lefties? It's because you can't do that. You can't bring Chapman, and nobody does that. But why not? I would have. I mean, it's a scoreless game. You're desperate for a win. Who has better odds at getting those guys out, Samaniego or Chapman? I get Chapman pitched the night before. So did Whitlock. But to put it on, like, a lot of people are upset about that. All right. So Samaniego gave up 2 runs. So game's over. So if that's going to be the way, you're never going to win a game. You know what I mean? And I get it, like what people are, but there's still big league hitters at the bottom of the order. Was Real Muto. They hit Stott, who had another RBI hit, by the way, another 2-out RBI. He had 2 huge RBIs for them this series. And they hit Crawford for Sosa. So, well, they would have, they probably would have in that situation. They let Sosa hit. But I'm not going to sit here and second guess them bringing in Samaniego or even Kelly. Kelly gave up an unearned run. That was on Story. Story made a huge error again. Well, he's been statistically better. But when you're starting to complain about the back end of the way the bullpen was managed, you're cherry picking, and that's not fair. The pitching should get zero mentions today. I don't care what happened last night. I don't care that Samaniego gave up. He hadn't given up runs all season. He's still a rookie. And it worked the night before. Nobody said a word. But that's just being a Monday morning quarterback. That's giving the offense, letting them off the hook. But Suarez was great. I mean, do you see he dominated that lineup because he knows how to pitch. Do you see where there is still room? There is still an old school element that works in baseball. The guy knows how to pitch. And that still works. Reading swings. Someone might not have a good swing that night. Someone might not have a good pitch that night. You can't just go off the computer all the time. If Kyle Schwarber is struggling against a certain pitch, but the computer tells you he doesn't, you don't avoid that, and you say, listen, he can't get to this tonight. You stick to that. There is still room for that. And Suarez pitches. He knows how to pitch. His stuff is really good. I get he doesn't throw hard. I don't know why anyone's obsessed with that. It doesn't matter. The guy he's pitched 195 games in his career with a 3.33 ERA, doing it the same way. I saw him pitch in Double-A. It's the same. That was a really good signing. I mean, he's really good. He gets out of, and the Red Sox got out of a huge jam in that game too. Bases loaded, 1 out. But it's a pain with the way your offense can't come up with 1 hit, and your core guys just really, I don't know. I think at some point you have to really make a decision about just moving on. I mean, I don't know how long we're just going to keep waiting. The Yankees, I talked to the Yankees people last week when they were in town because we played Scranton. And that was their thing with Volpe. And some people think that they're being too hard on Volpe. Now, Volpe's back in the big leagues because because Caballero got hurt. Now, listen, this kid's 25 years old. He's a Gold Glover, right? Top 10 Rookie of the Year. They were in a World Series with him. But the Yankees don't want that kind of production at that position with the strikeouts. They don't want that. And I talked to a lot of Yankee people, and I asked about, I can't tell you who it was. They don't want 150 to 160 strikeouts from him. They've moved on from that. It's changing. Teams are starting to reevaluate it and be like, yeah, you know what? The home run or nothing is not the best formula for us. It doesn't work as much as you think. And yes, like Toronto and the Dodgers hit a lot of home runs last playoffs, but they didn't strike out as much. And you're talking about, the Dodgers are in a different stratosphere. But from what a lot of a couple of Yankees people told me is like for certain positions, it's fine with Judge, but they want that cut down. And Caballero doesn't strike out a lot, and he gives them more of a quality at bat. They don't want to have 50 to 60, because they have, Rice, Chisholm strikes out a lot, and they don't want to have another guy in there as well. Stanton's hurt again, which isn't surprising. So I commend them. The Blue Jays kind of did the same thing. The Rays are the same way. But Alex Spear is reporting that there's potential of some small deals. But Breslow has shown to be aggressive. I would be aggressive ASAP, really. All right, let's be aggressive with our pick today. Kalshi, we love them. Baseball season is here. You can trade every game on Kalshi. It's not just games, it's a trade market, right? You can do props if you'd like. The Red Sox are trading at 38% probability to beat the Braves. So that means 100 will pay 228.80. Now you can pick any MLB market. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. So for a limited time, download the Kalshi app. Use code FanArchBaseball to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi. Trade on anything. Absolutely anything. Quality at bats. This is a big thing. They have this thing called the Quad Father in the Red Sox system. They give T-shirts to players who have quality at bats. Now, quality at bats is if you work a count full, and even if you make an out, that's still considered a quality at bat. It makes sense. Line outs, moving runners over. Monasterio, some of the guys that I think you got to give props to, he doesn't play a lot. And he has shown that he can come off the bench and start. He had 2 doubles last night. He is the complete opposite of David Hamilton. Most of you complained about David Hamilton all of last year, and I told you that he's not a player that can play twice a week. That was on Cora. But Cora, I got it. He had to be selfish because he wanted the pinch runner. But not a guy. A lot of guys young aren't very good at not playing. It's an extremely hard thing to do. Monasterio has hit safely in his last 4. He's 6 for his last 16. He's played May 4th, 5th, 10th, and 14th. 4 for his last 7 with 3 doubles and 1 strikeout. Should he play more? Why not at this point? But gives you a quality at bat, right? When you see him up there, he doesn't strike out much on 3 pitches. Works counts. Yoshida gives you quality at bats. Gasper gives you quality at bats. I think Rafaela has gotten better, right? We're seeing him see more pitches. I think Contreras is really good at that. That's part of being a good hitter. That's part of hitters coming out of funks. I don't see that from Story. I don't see it a lot from Duran at all. Deep counts. Durbin, no. Narvaez, he's definitely been a disappointment. But again, a second-year player. He hit 241 last year with 15 homers. It's a second year for him. We'll see. Need more from him too. That's another kind of position that we or even a player. Wong has been good, but Narvaez we don't talk about a lot. Maybe because he's a catcher, and I get it. But quality at bats. Like, look at the quality at bats that Turner, Schwarber, and Harper have. They see a ton of pitches every at bat. Every at bat. And it won't get any easier this weekend. I mean, you're facing the Braves. Strider and Early tonight. Early's got 3 of your 18 wins. How about that? 17%. All right, let's before this is our final show of the week, as most of you know. It's comment time. I've deleted every daily podcast but yours, trying to be sane. Okay. John Lacey, if the hitting can improve a bit and pitching and defense stays, I think we'll be in the playoffs and pitching wins championships. I think this is my favorite quote of all time is from Jim Cott. I love Jim Cott. I used to love watching him. Pitching enables you to win. Enables. Like, this is historically bad offense that you're getting. And I think that's the most frustrating thing is that, listen, and I think a lot of you know this and we've talked about this. For some teams, you do need more offense. Like the Phillies need more. Their pitching's not great. You don't need that much more. But this is like ridiculous. And how the Red Sox are not last in batting average in baseball is beyond me. I can't believe how many teams are hitting under 240 in baseball right now. I can't. It's unbelievable. But so what, right? Like Baltimore's hitting 231. They've scored 32 more runs than you. Like, think about this. If you scored 9 more runs all year, you might have 4 more wins. That's the margin. Like I'm not trying to like be half full. I'm just going off what I like in this series. You don't need that much more, and you can't even get like the basics. I mean, you gave up 6 runs and lost 2, and you scored 5. Like, you couldn't if you scored 7, you take 2 of 3, and 7's not even good. So enables you. The starting pitching is looking very good. The middle relief crowd of Watson, Weiser, and to a lesser extent Kelly could use an upgrade. Yeah, I guess. I just don't. I think that's kind of a waste of energy for me. I don't know. I get what you're saying. Some of that is because Slayton was out, right? The Weiser thing, Slayton was attached to a lot of that. Zach Kelly's been fine. You're talking about like they're using him sometimes in high leverage because you have to. And yeah, you're right with Watson, but I'm not gonna. I don't know. Is the bullpen is not. You're going to have take them. Johnny, take it from the team in your bullpen. You're not going to have 7 or 8 lockdown guys. Chapman, Whitlock, Slayton, Samaniego, Giovanni Moran. I mean, that's 5 really good relievers. And Weissert being a 6, and Whitlock, I mean, and Kelly, and then, Watson. I guess. I mean, Huberstein would probably be there if he wasn't hurt. You got to remember that. Huberstein's hurt. Rivera, yeah, he hasn't really thrown well in Worcester. But yeah, it'd be okay. I just don't think it's a focal for me. I don't know. Like, I can put up with that. Look around the league. I mean, almost every guy, every pitcher that Philly's running out there, with the exception of Duran, is okay. I mean, Keller's good. He was with us, but they've had a lot of issues with their bullpen. Colomb didn't kind of pan out. But Slayton being back, it will help, and Huberstein will be really good. I mean, if Huberstein comes back, that's going to be a high leverage guy for me, and you'll knock one of those guys that you just talked about out. So you got to remember that the injuries and even Oviedo, I doubt he's going to be anywhere. I really do. Yeah, I don't know. What else do we have? All right, that will be it. We will turn the page and let's hope the Red Sox, I mean, just avoid a sweep at this point. I mean, you're playing the best team in baseball. Um, where do you go after this? At Kansas City? Yeah, they're at Kansas City. So, what do we want for this? We look at the stretch of games. Do they play Thursday? They don't. You can go 3-3 on this trip. I'd take it. I would take it. Absolutely take it. Let's see if they can actually score some runs here. All right, that will do it for the show. Make sure to hit subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. As always, go Sox.